So welcome back. I'm here in the car with Aleksey Torokhtiy and Sergei. They had 2 days of a successful seminar here in the Netherlands. I had one question that I wanted to ask to Aleksey, and that is when he did his Olympics in 2012, you finished 4th or 5th after the snatch event before you went into the clean and jerk. And in the clean and jerk you did the first one, 222. You missed the second one, and I think your opponent did the second one. So you missed 226 and you increased to 227.
Just to win.
Just to win, okay. And then, so what went through your head when you entered the lifting hall or when you stepped onto the platform? Because you knew if you make it, you will be Olympic champion. If you don't make it, you will be somewhere 5th.
No, when we did the last attempt, I understood that if it will be successful lift, it will be second place. It will be a guaranteed second place.
Okay.
And because the guys the athletes from Iran didn't lift the last attempt, I will win. I won.
You won, yeah.
I won. The last attempt, it's difficult to explain what I think, but it's not possible to think it's about something big in general, about the family, about the country, about the coaches. So you just know that you need to do what you did before, and you need to repeat this. And it should be good lift, because if it will be not good lift, you will die.
Okay. And throughout the whole event, were you always convinced that you're gonna win the event?
My goal was to show good result, and from this, if it will be good result, it will be a good place. Because if you think only about the place, it's good motivation, but it's not enough. For good result, for good medal, for good medal, you need to show a good result. So my goal was to try it to show a good result.
Okay, so focus on the process.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. On Friday during the seminar, also Sergei, if you wanna jump in, we spoke about different schools of thought in Olympic weightlifting: Chinese school, Russian school, and so on and so on. One thing you mentioned, and I've heard that before, is the concept of that you want to have the bar and the athlete as one unit, right?
Yeah, one system.
One system. Can you elaborate on that? I mean, I've heard it before, but it's not really clear in my head what it exactly entails.
So usually it's the approach of the it's the approach of the Soviet training system. This definition was in use by chief coach of the national USSR team, Aleksey Medvedev, and the guys that were before also. And the idea is that when the bar is on the floor is object number 1, when athlete is nearby is the object number 2. But as soon as they start contact and as soon as athletes start to lift the barbell, we call it system, athlete, and the barbell. Why we call it system? Because technically it's the one object, but it became as a one object, but it has 2 center of the balances. But only one item of this system can manage these balances, is the human.
Okay.
That is why during the lift we always have 2 center of the balances and the bar always against you. And that is why the person only can balance his body, and in that case he will be able to balance his body and the barbell and to do lift if we speak about just a biomechanical movement.
Okay.
Because as we understand, there are a lot of things that involve in lift, like psychology, just the muscle work, coordination, and power as a power, but usually result of lifts is very integrated definition.
Of course, yeah, okay. So we also, one person asked about the double knee bend, for example. Is that also a way to get the body closer to the bar again? Because once the bar passes the knees, it starts to go a little bit away. So if you bring the knees under the bar, is that also a way to get that system closer together? A question that goes through my head.
As we spoke on the seminar, there are a lot of things about the technique, a lot of small things and peculiarities that coach must know, understand and see. But in the same time, there are a lot of these things that athletes shouldn't think about. Because if he will think about double knee bend during his PR, he will or fail or go crazy or do it both at the same time, but it will not be as a result. So usually we explain that yes, double knee, how you say?
Double knee bend.
Yeah, double knee bend exists because in Russian we call it transition phase.
Yeah.
Double knee bend exists, but it exists as the things that we learn when we read the book about the technique in weightlifting, or it exists when you as a coach stand in from inside and control the technique. But in the athlete head should be one thing: cover the bar and move the bar as close as possible on a full foot. And when it's time to jump, because actually this transition phase, double knee bend, lasts not more than about half a second, and this is such a short period of time that athlete's brain just not able to control.
Yeah.
So if you do it really fast, you just do it because it's the managing between, as I said, centers of the balances of the bar and the athlete, but not the action that you can do and can perform and can control.
Yeah, I think in the seminar you mentioned it's 300 milliseconds, right?
No, if it's second, so 0.3 second.
Yeah, 300 milliseconds.
Yeah, correct, yes.
So it's almost a shortening cycle.
So if you will read a book about neurophysiology, it says that there is some amount of time so short that we control them.
Yeah, it's involuntary.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. And then one other question that came up in the seminar is about, for example, Chinese weightlifting or the Chinese style of weightlifting. And then also, Aleksey, you mentioned that Chinese style of weightlifting is appropriate for Asian people who have a shorter build in general. Is that correct? Yeah. So what is actually what is different in the Chinese style of weightlifting than in the, let's say, Russian style of weightlifting? Just as a rough outline.
It's a little bit different movement, and it's a little bit different approach. It's a little bit different exercise, because as I know, in Soviet school, especially in snatch, we try to do a long way, so power position and full extension. In China, Asian type of the body, it's power position and much faster as possible under the bar. So the way is a little bit, the movement is a little bit shorter, and faster. That's why a lot of exercise it's for develop this position.
Okay.
And I also would like to add that basically Chinese weightlifting as a good big sport started in the era of 70s, just started.
Yeah.
So in the time Soviet were already great, and in China it just started, and it started because Chinese government started to invite Soviet coaches to China.
Yeah.
So fundamental training and fundamental approach is from Soviet school, and they use a lot of the Soviet methods. But as we remember, since black and white era of TV, mostly Soviet Union was famous for the heavy lifters.
Yeah.
Like from 82.5 on that time it was category and higher.
Yeah.
It was very seldom we had any lightweight champions.
Okay.
In the opposite, in China, since that time till now, we know that mostly they have a champions in the lightweight categories, and it's also because, as we spoke already, anatomy peculiarities. That is why during the years, during the selection, they adapted their training program. And as Aleksey said, if we speak about the tall guys, tall of course means again heavy in weightlifting, we speak about the technical approach with the higher amplitude. If we speak about the shorter, they mostly focused on the drop speed. Why?
Yeah.
Because gravity works for all people, no matter what your height, the same way. So if you can develop absolute power, very good, but you need to lift the barbell on the lower height, your idea is to focus on the drop speed. Because if you will not create good amplitude if you are tall, your drop speed means nothing, because you just need to lift the barbell higher.
Yeah.
And as we understand, relative strength if you are lightweight is much more than relative strength if you are tall.
Yeah.
Because lightweight guys can do clean and jerk triple weight, and heavyweight guys can never do double weight in the clean and jerk. Again, it's because of relative and absolute strength or power.
Yeah. Okay. So just now another question popped up in my head.
That is why, for you as a conclusion, if we speak about the involvement of Olympic weightlifting in the different sports, especially play sports, it's the handball, basketball, you can't just technically copy Chinese school because guys are 2 meters high.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they need to stand up, raise up, long movement, and long jump.
It also depends a little bit. Most of the times you do the Olympic lifts for power production.
Yes.
And that happens throughout the, first pull, transition, second pull. Obviously the catching and absorbing and controlling the force is also important. But the main reason is that we do it for power production.
Yeah. Because as soon as you are a coach who specialized in special physical preparation, we need to understand why you do snatch. For snatch or for power.
Yes.
If it's for power, probably yes. Combination of power snatch and snatch will be much better than just trying to do perfect receiving position in the low sitting squat.
Yeah. With regards to the receiving position, I've seen quite a lot of videos where the Chinese, when they catch and receive the bar, they don't really stand up with the bar in the snatch. Have you seen that? So they just control and then they drop it again.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's not something good.
It's not something good?
Yeah, usually you need to stand up, but it's not only in China, it's very often in weightlifting. It's because athlete is lazy.
It's a bad professional habit.
Yeah, it's not something good. You need to stand up and you need to finish the movement, because when you will catch just in the receiving position and on the competition and you will not finish the movement, it will be not good lift.
Yeah.
So you need to stand up every time. But when you do this for double, for triple, and if you want to save your energy, you do this, you cut the movement just to save the energy for the next lift. Because if you will do snatch, after this you will sit, stand up again, put the bar on the platform. It will cost a lot of time and it will cost a lot of energy. That's why sometimes when you work with a big weight, you just receive catch and receive in position and move down.
So let's say if we have athletes and he has PR snatch 200 kilos, and today he will work for 85% at 170. So from barbell till 170, probably he will do about 20 sets just to warm up, because he will not do like 40 kilos or barbell and then 170. And it's okay if he will do till 50% some full movements, and then from 50 to 75 to 80. Some sets he can cut, but some.
Yeah.
Just as Aleksey said, to save the power. But it's again, it should be by control of this athlete and coach, because as soon as it will become bad habit when he will cut all sets, it can be a good sign for the competition. Because sometimes I saw the guys who just forget to stand up. He did a snatch, sit, and then put it on the floor. And when the referee said no lift, he said, why? He said, because you forget to stand up.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we are approaching some traffic jam over here. More time to talk.
Yes. Because for a basic period of training, I mean for the average athlete, we understand if we find the smart and optimal way of training, it's better to do full lifts because you increase time under tension, TUT.
Yeah.
Anyway, you just hold or you move. If it's time under tension, you train your ligaments, joints, bones, everything, because it's time under tension.
Yeah. I've also always believed that, I mean, you don't really want to, in terms of motor learning, you don't want to practice bad habits, right? And that's what Aleksey just said. I mean, what you, if you do it repeatedly, you're ingraining what you just outlined. You're ingraining a bad habit of, you know, you receive the bar, but then you drop it again. You don't ingrain the pattern of completing a full lift.
Yeah.
You know. And when you guys, also Aleksey and Sergei, you mentioned that in the seminar, when you train the Olympic lifts and you include front squats or back squats, the weight of the front squat and back squat is always calculated on the percent of the clean and jerk?
For professional athletes, yes. For professional weightlifting athletes, yes.
Okay. And then what's the maximum percentage you go through? I mean, 105, 110, 120?
The problem is that on the competition we have two exercises, snatch and clean and jerk. And for this you don't need to have the best back squat.
Yeah.
And for this you don't need to have a best front squat. So of course we do back squats, front squats with a big weight, but usually it's a little bit stupid to do one max RM, because it's dangerous first and it's not give you plus to your result. So usually we work not more than 120-130% from the best clean and jerk. I mean, it's for back squat. Sometimes a little bit more, but it depends what is the athlete.
Yeah. Okay.
So the main approach to the answer to this question, we are not doing back squat for back squat.
Yes.
We are doing for clean and jerk, and the answer on the question how much, it should be enough.
Yeah.
And coach usually understand if he have a good functional possibilities of the legs, so he can perform a triple in the clean with a workable weight and it's not killing, it's workable, so there is no need to squat more, because for professional athletes weights are so high that you always risking when you are going for heavy.
Yeah.
And you can just do 10 kilos more and then you will have an injury of one of the muscles on your quads and you will be 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
That is why top athletes, they are trying to squat less, because all strength, just the strength work, make you slow and not so explosive.
Okay.
But it's, as Aleksey said, it's the question, it's very specific for professional weightlifters.
Yeah. Because you use the squatting movement as an assistant exercise to improve the competitive movement.
Correct.
Yeah. One of the things I've noticed with a few of my athletes is, for example, if we do cleans or power cleans, that the moment they connect the bar with where they receive the bar on the shoulders, that the body has descended further than the bar and the bar is crushing down onto the shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Are you're familiar with that?
Of course.
Okay. So what you do as an intervention to train that? I always think it's a bit of a coordination thing, right? That you coordinate the timing. How do you approach that?
Тренер, вы отвечаете? As we spoke in the beginning of the part when we did a clean, receiving position, as you remember, we studied in the beginning of the class.
Yes.
We did a muscle clean and with additional front squat. So a lot of things that we see when athletes doing clean with the heavyweights in the fast mode, our eyes can understand how it works.
Yeah.
And same things happen when athletes trying to train. So there are two main mistakes why bar can hit you. Or bar goes too far, or you move your shoulders back, and again it means that the bar moves too far. That is why the goal or solution how to make the bar move closer is to have a good pattern of the movement of the muscle snatch, muscle clean. Sometimes in the recovery period or in the beginning of the preparation period, we do a movement that or exercise that called full muscle clean, when we start from the starting position and then we receive the bar in the full squat position, but we do it without jump and we don't move the feet from the platforms, and it make athletes to do muscle clean more focused and more closer. But anyway, if the bar hits you, mostly it's the problem of the bar trajectory. Why it happens, we need to look.
Okay.
Because I think it's the bigger problem in the bad receiving position when you do power clean than just a clean. Because when you do it in the power clean, you receive the bar on the half bended knees.
Yeah.
And if the bar hits you, you hit everything, because your stabilization is not very good.
Yeah.
In the low position, it's easier to stabilize because your center of the balance is very low, so it's easier to balance. But when the guy is tall and he received the bar higher and it hits you, you can have a problem.
Okay, and then last question for Aleksey, and then we stop it. What are your goals for the future? I mean, you have been a successful athlete. What is your goal for the next 5 years, 10 years?
To be successful.
With?
We will see. I need to. We will see.
Okay. Okay, guys, thanks a lot for the open answers.
Thank you.